You know, you're right, it is a Monday, and reps were limited. We've gone through our treatment process. We'll have a staff at 4 o'clock. I'll visit with our training staff, and we'll assess Grant, and we'll assess Jarrett, and we'll make some decisions tonight, and we'll allocate reps for tomorrow's practice.
Can I judge by what you just said that Grant is not 100% either?
Grant took a little bit of a baptism by fire last Saturday. Got some bangs and bruises, but he'll be fine. Everybody was up. Everybody was there at our walkthrough in good spirits. Everybody threw the ball around, so I expect them all to be available, to be honest with you, moving forward.
When do you have a sense that you'll have an answer on that position?
Well, we'll have reps the right way tomorrow morning. I mean, so if all is well, which I anticipate it being, we'll see. You know, I don't know that. You know, I was proud of Grant coming in and stepping up and showing the ability to make some plays out of the pocket. But I don't think anybody's taken that quarterback position. Jarrett's healthy. I've got to confirm that, but he looked good this morning, and he'll get reps, and we'll get him ready to go.
To what degree is there frustration that position is still in a state of flux, knowing that it's cornerstone of the offense?
Right. It's important that you have stability and consistency at the quarterback position. It's not just that spot. I mean, we're frustrated. We hadn't had consistency in a lot of different areas, but that is an important position that we need to steady.
I think you just anticipated my next question. Is that to what degree do you lay the struggles of this season on the struggles of the quarterback spot?
Well, it's always going to be on the quarterback and the head football coach. That's just the way that this game goes. But in that locker room, we know that there are a lot of areas as a football team that we could have helped out, and we could have put our quarterback in better situations. That's on the other players in that locker room. That's on the other coaches in that locker room. They've got to take ownership of that, and they have. And outside perception is what it is, and there's nothing that you can do to change that. And the position that I'm in, and in the position that I'm playing that quarterback position, so that's part of it. That's part of this game. I think he understands that. Our quarterbacks understand that. I definitely understand it. But as a team, I don't think we're pointing any. I know we're not pointing any fingers at all.
And what are you looking at from Kent State this weekend?
Kent State. No, they're playing hard. They're playing good defense right now. They're playing with some confidence. They found a way to get a couple of explosive places versus Miami and get a victory. And you talk about that quarterback play a little bit, and I mean, you just look to that Miami game and the difference that Ragland going out and won 7 straight conference games, and us being able to find a way to beat them late, and Kent being able to do the same thing because you're not scoring at a high efficiency. So it is an important spot. But they've got some skill. Kent's always going to have some talent outside, some talented running backs, searching a little bit themselves to find the guy at the quarterback spot. They rotated a couple of guys at the quarterback. One's a junior and one's a true freshman. So the thing about that football team is they're very, I know Coach Haynes a little bit, and he's a very prideful man. And I don't think last year's game set well with him or his football program at all. So they'll be at home. That'll be the first game of action, prime time. They'll be fired up and ready to play. We got to be sure that we match their intensity.
When they lost Howie, who was more of a runner.
Great kid, yeah.
Do you see that they've changed what they're doing offensively?
But they're a little less predictable. I mean, they've shown a variety of formations, and really, it's just there are times even in last week's ball game that they were able to move it and just have some untimely mistakes, which is going to happen when you've got quarterbacks making their first starts. The thing that I've noticed is that they've got some dynamic skill players, and they're doing I think a better job right now of getting more people involved. So. They're improving each and every week, and we just need to make sure this is not the week that they hit their stride.
Defensively, historically, Kent's been very aggressive.
Going to challenge you. Hadn't changed a bit. Going to challenge you. They believe in it from a schematic standpoint. One of the things that we were able to do last year, we were able to get those explosive plays because sometimes when you play a lot of man-to-man, you're running those corners off. So if you're able to hit and get through the line of scrimmage, those big plays are out there. I'm willing to bet that they're talking all week about not letting Josh and Donovan and Andrew Clear get started because, they've shown an ability to once they get to the second level, to be kind of dynamic. And if the corners run off, instead of some 20, 25, 30-yard runs, you're going to see some 40, 50-yard runs. So they'll be amped up, and they'll be making a consistent effort to try to play across the river and make sure that our backs don't get going.
It seems to me last year that no matter how many guys they brought to the box, you guys had.
We're still going to run it. Yeah, we were still going to run it, and they were a little youthful at the linebacker position last year, and sometimes you misfit a little bit, and that extra guy, you got two guys in one gap, you're able to pop a play. Watching them on defense, they've cleaned a lot of that up, and really, to be honest with you, I don't think they I'm not going to speak for them, but we hadn't shown a lot of tight end, two-back runs, and kind of like last week's ball game against NIU, they came out and empty. You know what I mean? And they kind of moved the ball down the field during that first drive, which got them in rhythm. They jumped right out of it, thankfully, but it got them jump-started, and it got them in a rhythm and got that quarterback confidence. So we were able to find that last year, and fortunately for us, they didn't get it adjusted in time. But I know the type of coaches that they are, and we better have other options in our game plan this week.
How hasn't been a crazy long break, but how beneficial have these last couple of days off been?
Huge. Pretty banged up right now, and it's great to come in and get some guys healthy first and foremost, and then to get some extra study time or film time review with some of the guys that are going to be taking their places because. As we talked about in previous weeks, when we talk about the reps and ones and twos, you're looking at 70 to 30%. That's not just at the quarterback position. That's at the offensive line. That's at the skill, on multiple levels. So losing Timmy and Jack up front, it's been huge this week to get those guys up here and to have an additional walkthrough yesterday, just to make sure that they're on point with their communication. So it's been great. It couldn't come at a better time, and I think that the kids had a little bounce in their step this morning, and looking forward to getting out there and playing Tuesday night.
Even just mentally, though, too. I can imagine that stretch.
That's a tough stretch. Yeah, it did, no doubt, from a physical and a mental standpoint, and really, let's give NIU all the credit, man. They beat us. They came out here and they took it to us. And my hat's off to them. It was kind of a combination of all the things that have gone wrong throughout the year. TL not being out there to help us on the outside and losing those guys inside, and they took advantage of it and really handed it to us from a physical standpoint. But other than that, Akron here at home, Ohio here at home, I think a lot of us would, feel like that there was a sense that, for 2 or 3 quarters of those games that we might have even been the better team. So it was frustrating, and after a loss like that, and contemplating, okay, where do we go from this point? Just from a roster standpoint, it was good to get that break, kind of take a deep breath. Exhale, go back and evaluate the film and see that, okay, Clark Clancy went in there and he didn't have a bunch of MAs, misassignments. He actually went in there and knew where he was going and what he was doing. And then you look at Caleb Bright, same story with him. And really, it wasn't a lot of us going the wrong way. It was just them beating their tail. So if they're going the right direction, those are things that we can build on.
Can you talk about that from a mental standpoint? Because as you mentioned after the game, Akron was close until the late mistake, and Ohio was a score or 2-score game until late. Whereas that
That was from the beginning. They jumped
Yeah,
almost 14 nothing, right?
Yeah.
You know, and kind of got a feel there. We kind of put a drive together. Really, probably one of our best drives of the season when we went. It was 14-7. I think it was in the first quarter, and that was a drive that Timmy went out on, and really was feeling pretty good about it. You know, I think that the defense had gotten 2 stops in a row, and when we went back out and we lost Jack, and at that point, you know, we started to scramble a little bit and forced 2 passes and had 2 back-to-back picks on three plays, and you know, those are things that you can't do because they're going to capitalize it. And when you're playing a defense like that, you turn the ball over, you really give yourself no chance. So, yeah, it got away from us early, and it's the first time that it really felt like that in a while.
So, especially with a couple of extra days to kind of have that fester and stew mentally, what's been the reaction of the team from that?
Really, they gave them a couple of days off, and really this morning was when we had a walkthrough yesterday, just a brief walkthrough. But I mean, the attitude today was positive. They were upbeat and ready to go and get back after it. You know, those guys, you know, they're the ones that put in the work and put in the film study. None of us in this room, including myself, are no frustrated than they are. And they realize what happened the other day. And I think they all understand that we've got to have that next man up mentality, that this is our football team. And this is who we're going to play with. And the only way that we get through this and go on and make a run throughout the month of November and matching play is by staying together as a football team. One thing I know is no quit in this group. And they will continue to fight, and they will continue to play as one.
And like you said, with the you got the opportunity to look at more film this weekend. Is there anything really new that you took away from that to build on?
As far as from looking at Kent State, or as far as looking at us as self-evaluation?
Looking at your guys.
We went back and we did a little self-evaluation, and you know, it's just little things like we're doing some things well. I mean, we're 100% in the red zone. I think we're the only team in our conference that's 100% in the red zone. I think we're 15 of 15. I mean, 7, 8 of them are field goals, though. You know, you're scoring touchdowns and some of them. I mean, everybody you want to be successful in the red zone. That's huge, but you got to get touchdowns. You know, and explosive plays on the defensive end. You know, we harp on it, and we continue to give them up. So, you know, either you're coaching or you're allowing them to do it. I've always said that. That's just kind of what I believe. So if it's continuing to happen, you know, we don't want to burn any red shirts or anything of that nature, but you know, other guys need opportunities, and whether they be walk-ons or whoever it may be, that we're in week 8, 9, or whatever it is now, we shouldn't be making those same mistakes. So just self-evaluating and looking at some of those things, and making sure that you know, we're putting guys out there that have learned that the key to this game is not to continue to make the same mistake.
I know that this is an odd time to ask a recruiting question, but how is recruiting going?
Recruiting's going well. You know, it's always tough when you go through spells like this. You got to really work to hold on to some of those guys. You know, we're still. I think our class is going to be a little bit smaller this year. We're at 21 or 22. I don't remember what the exact number is, but we're 14, 15 committed at this point. You know, it's an ongoing battle. You know, a lot of the guys went out this week, hit the road Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and got out there and making sure that we're touching these guys and being visible at some of these schools. And then come the end of November, I'll get on the road for about 23 days straight and try to make sure we bring these guys back to BG.
When you say it's a slightly smaller, that 21, 22, is that available scholarship?
Absolutely, yeah. Yes, sir. Last year we had a sign a class, I think, 26, 27. I really don't remember. I mean, again, that's because of attrition. We've been able to keep some guys around and try to been able to weather some of those storms, and we'll sign the numbers in spring ball where we were too deep, like they should be. So our classes are getting back to where they should be. This will be the first time that we've signed, I won't say a normal class in about 3 or 4 years. So.
And with the early signing period, how many of those are you expecting to?
Well, all the guys that we've got committed, when I get out in November, I'll be sitting down with them and their parents and making sure they understand the importance of, I mean, if you're in, why wait? And so we'll get that message across. So I would expect all of our committed guys to sign on December 20th. And then we'll come back and hit that January, early February crew and be looking to bring another 6 to 7.
Does the message change a little bit, Coach, when you're going through a difficult season like you are to these recruits that, hey,
no, not at all.
you may be able to play right away? Is that a message?
That's exactly what the message is. I mean, if you look at it right now, I think, 8 of our 24, 20, 25, 26 kids that we signed last year, 8 of them have played. And so they know that our roster is in a rebuilding state. They know that there's an opportunity to get out and make a difference right now. And then to build on that, if you look at the redshirt freshmen and freshmen combined, I think the redshirt freshmen and freshmen combined, I think it's 14, 15 that have played. So, and so what we're out there and what we're making sure these guys understand that, we had every opportunity to win the East, and we still can. We would need a lot of help, but it was right there. I mean, just talking to some guys last night. I mean, we got Akron, we got Ohio at home, and we've got the lead late in the third quarter in both those games, and really got momentum. You could be the difference. You can be the guy to make that play to put us over the hump. Because if we're sitting here right now, giving IU credit, they kicked their tail. But we're sitting here 3-1. We're going to play Kent State and Buffalo, who just lost their quarterback. Their top 2 quarterbacks were all feeling good and controlling our own destiny about going and heading back to Detroit. And we're just a player or 2 away. So that's kind of what we're selling. We'll see if it works.
Is that a harder sell or just a different sell than when you're coming off championships and the run that?
I would not know. Anytime you've got transition, it's going to be tough, and that's kind of, one of the things that we're battling here right now. The transition from Coach Clausen to Coach Babers, you're going to lose kids in those classes, and then the transition from him, from Coach Babers to us. Those are 2 classes that were, not what they could have been or not what they should have been, and that's always a tough deal. And that's why sometimes, a lot of times, when teams come off these championship teams, you find that they really want to keep that guy in house and keep that status quo and make sure they still got those relationships from a recruiting standpoint. Because at the end of the day, that's our lifeline. Kids win, period. So we're on the right track as far as recruiting goes. I'm proud of the way the guys are, not just the type of athlete that the guys are bringing to our university, but the type of young men. I mean, the Andrew Clares, the Josh Croslands of the world, you guys have an opportunity to get around. They're great human beings. They're great people. And at the end of the day, man, that's how we get this thing turned around. That's how we get back to where we all want to go.